Hi everybody and welcome to another episode of Q&A, comic books, movies, and video games. Today I bring to you a versus battle. This is one that's been puzzling a lot of people for a long time. We'll start by mentioning this is between the Devil of Hell's Kitchen, Daredevil, and his other nighttime counterpart, Moon Knight. Um, both are fantastic characters. Let's start with what we know. Overall, we'll give the strength department to Moon Knight. He is the avatar of the god Khonshu, which, now granted, his strength is dependent on the cycle of the moon, so if they fought under a full moon, he has superior strength over Matt. For those of you who are uninitiated or have not had a chance to read up on these characters, um, Daredevil is Matt Murdock. He is a blind lawyer by day and Daredevil vigilante by night. He was given his abilities when he was a young man. He was running out in the street after something he saw. He was upset and he seen somebody in trouble. It was a lady, and his instincts kicked in, and there was a truck carrying some radioactive chemicals, which was about to hit her. He pushed her out of the way, and one of the barrels fell off and hit him. It sprayed into his eyes, which made him blind. In addition to being blind, he discovered shortly after that he had numerous abilities tied in with that. For instance, he could hear someone's heartbeat. He could read what somebody wrote with a pen just by touching it with his fingers. His sense of touch, smell, hearing, all of his other senses were heightened beyond superhuman levels. And this also allows him to do various physical feats. For instance, he has been known to be fast enough to dodge point blank gunshot. Um, he has superior balance because he can sense the vibrations of where he's at, and he has what's known in the society as a radar sense. It lets him uh, audibly see everything around him. Now, his main weakness, though, is that if there's too much sound, it can cripple him and make it so he can't function properly, uh, which can come into play during this encounter. Now, that's just a brief history. I'll get into what everybody can do later. Um, Moon Knight is Mark Spector. He is a guy who, for some reason, was blessed by the god Khonshu. There's a lot of backstory, and I will post links to that. Um, but the important part is he seeks out justice in the middle of the night. When the moon is high, you will see him. Uh, he kind of is the spirit of, uh, I don't want to say vengeance. I mean, that's kind of Ghost Rider's thing. But he's the spirit of purity and, uh, I guess you could say, the spirit of justice. I mean, that seems to be the best thing. He seeks out any injustice and puts a stop to it. Um, Now, physically speaking, they're both on par as far as athletics go. Uh, Agility. I think that overall Daredevil has a little more agility and a little more physical speed than Moon Knight. Um, Overall, anyway. I also feel that, like I said, Moon Knight would have the advantage over him and over Daredevil in strength and overall physical characteristics. Uh, I would say that Matt Murdock, aka Daredevil, is a better fighter than Moon Knight is. Mostly because Moon Knight does, however, rely on a lot of his natural gifts and gadgets. He has many different weapons at his disposal that he uses to take down enemies. Um, but overall fighting prowess, I would say that Daredevil has the win here. Uh, and so, realistically, let's look how this would go down. I think that it would take place in the middle of the night in New York. Um, if they had to fight, which I don't think they would in the first place, but if they did, um, maybe Moon Knight feels that Daredevil's tactics and methods are a little too extreme to be classified as a hero, so maybe he's seeking him out to try to put a stop to the way he does things. That being said, uh, I think that realistically they would go back and forth in hand-to-hand combat for quite some time, um, mostly to determine what the other one is capable of. Now, Daredevil does tend to be a little more in-your-face fighting style. He wants to get the fight done with quickly. Um, Moon Knight will more or less let you wear yourself out while he fights you off. Kind of a Bushido code, if you will, without the swords, because, But yeah, I think that the fight would go on for a couple hours, and at some point, Moon Knight would decide that this is not getting anywhere, so he would employ some of his weapons and tactics. One of which is dropping a smoke pellet and throwing his. Uh, he has little bladed moons that he throws at people. Um, which I think that in most situations, Daredevil would dodge these things or catch them and throw them back. So, yeah, I don't see the throwing of things to be a big issue. I also don't think the smoke pellet would do him much good. I feel like most of the tactics that Moon Knight would use in this encounter would, in fact, be futile due to Daredevil's hearing and other things. However, I will say that Moon Knight has a natural ability to determine the weaknesses of those around him. You might say he's kind of like Batman in that sense. Um, so I think that throughout the course of the battle, he would determine, uh, just a little personal note, in the Marvel versus DC crossover, um, Daredevil and Batman got into a fight. And within 5 seconds of fighting Daredevil, Batman determined that he was blind. And I feel like in this particular case, Moon Knight would do the same thing. He would determine this quickly, and he would find a way to utilize that. Um, Once he realized that the smoke pellets and stuff would not really stop Daredevil, um, I think that he would resort to misdirection, causing loud bangs, things to disorient Daredevil. Um, Realistically speaking, I would say that in this particular fight, uh, I would give the win to Daredevil, but only 6 out of 10 times. I think realistically, Moon Knight would, on many occasions, uh, figure out a way to disorient and take down Daredevil. Um, I give him the 6 out of 10, primarily because one, he is familiar with adapting himself to whatever encounter he's against. He has gone toe to toe with Iron Fist. He has gone toe to toe with Black Panther. Uh, you know, Arguably, Black Panther is one of the best fighters in the Marvel Universe. Um, he can go toe to toe even with people like Spider Man as far as agility goes, and he can't match his strength, but he can match his agility and predict pretty much where Spider Man's coming from. In a way, his radar sense is kind of like Spider Man's danger sense. He knows what's coming before it comes. Um, so, yeah, I would say that, like, and this is a tough fight. I really think that I was leaning more towards 5 and 5 for this, 5 out of 10 times, um, mostly because they are very evenly matched. And it really depends on multiple facets. Um, Situationally, if the moon is high and full, um, I feel like Moon Knight would be able to outpower and outmaneuver Daredevil. However, overall experience, overall fighting ability, overall adaptation, uh, Daredevil does seem to have a better knack for doing that. And honestly, I mean, Moon Knight takes out one opponent at a time. Daredevil took out like 30 members of the ninja group, the Hand. He took them out by himself, you know, which is fascinating. It's beyond fascinating. Um, so overall, yeah, like I say, Daredevil has more experience, more adaptation ability, so I give him the win. But like I said, not every time. I think 6 out of 10 times. He does have the slight edge, but pretty much they're evenly matched. So, like I said, when I post this, I will have links to the characters, and let me know what you think. If there's something you feel I need to cover that I didn't, let me know. Normally, I try to write this stuff out, but this time I just wanted to wing it. Um, so yeah, I say a lot because I have a lot of thinking issues going on. Uh, so yeah, have a good one, and I hope that this answers the question.